this crowd of blue and green, my heart is very full. I see people from different chapters of my dad's life. His friends from high school who know more about him from back then than I know about him. Coworkers from previous jobs, families from Madrona Elementary and Edmonds High School, where my sister and I grew up. His staff from Nash Property Management, his pride and joy. The Acup and Nash families were here. And of course, lifelong friends who are chosen family. Those close to me know that I am an emotional person, but when I process difficult emotions, I tend to keep to myself. So this is kind of hard for me to talk, but I usually communicate through writing, specifically Instagram captions, if anyone. But I'm not great about talking about my emotions out loud. I've done a lot of public speaking in academia, and I teach hundreds of undergrads weekly, but this will definitely be the most difficult public speaking I'll ever do in my life. So I ask for your patience because I'm definitely gonna probably cry. You all know what my dad meant to me, so it's really important to me that I say everything that I need to say, even if I produce a disgusting amount of mucus doing it. It was some years ago, after my sister Monica and I graduated from college, that my dad told me that a lot of people ask him about raising the two of us. Parents with younger children or teenagers would ask him, what did you do with Monica and Amia in a situation like this? And when he shared that with me, I could tell that he took great pride in being asked for parenting advice. And in this conversation, he told me that he wanted to write a book about raising us, which I'm not sure writer would be in any of our top descriptors of my father. But what I take from that now is that he had a message he wanted to share. And so my dad never got to write that book, so I wanted to share with you about what made him a great father. So, he was a proud girl dad. People would ask him if he ever wished he had a son, and he would always respond no with a shake of his head, like that was a ridiculous question. And my mom would always follow up jokingly that he didn't need one because he had me. For those of you who met me any time before the age of 17, you're probably surprised you can see me in a dress right now. From a young age, I was different. I marched to my own beat, as my mom said. And when I walked into Gap Kids, I went straight to the boys section. And I would get like a football shirt or baggy pants. And during recess, I was playing sports with the boys. I didn't really follow gender norms, and I will save my lecture on how gender is a social construct for another time. My liberal Berkeley education. But my parents let me express myself in the ways that I wanted to, and they let me be Amia. My dad was a proud girl dad. Having a son wouldn't have changed how he parented Monica and I. He was a present and involved dad. He was my soccer and basketball coach. And fun fact, he was one of 2 male Girl Scout troop leaders in the state of Washington back in 2001. He'd be there with my mom at every meeting, helping us learn new skills to earn our badges, and taking us to sell Girl Scout cookies outside of the grocery store. Also, this is an unconventional parenting move, but he rarely called Monica and I pretty or beautiful. He didn't want us to think that our looks were the best things we had to offer, which when you think about it is something that society emphasizes to girls and reinforces at a young age. Sorry, I have to get my soapbox line. Instead, he would tell us we were strong, or smart, or brave. Any goal I ever set for myself, he told me I could achieve it. When I said I was going to go to Stanford one day, his immediate follow-up question was, okay, what do you need to do to get there? He always empowered me in that way. He instilled in me my work ethic. He taught me that nothing's just handed to me, but I could create opportunities for myself and that I could do literally anything. Something he would say is, as long as I didn't get in my own way. The last goal I ever shared with him was earlier this year, and it was that I'm going to qualify for the Boston Marathon one day, and he replied simply, of course you will. And he never doubted me. He was our biggest fan. He has easily spent hundreds of hours watching dance competitions, which is a lot, hula shows and races. In high school, he didn't miss a sporting event. In the winter, he'd be at all of the Edmonds Woodlake girls basketball games, saying hi to all my high school friends and sitting with the other parents. In the spring, he would be out there at every track meet, rain or shine, but mostly rain. We had this thing where I'd look for him in the crowd before the game or before my race, and we'd throw each other a shaka. So I always look for that. Not every kid is able to see their parents in the crowd, and I'm really lucky I did. The man even sat through multiple days of pageant, on-stage questions, talents, and evening gowns when I competed at Miss California. That's some patience. But that didn't compare to the worst of it. Seeing his younger daughter cheer for the 49ers. Now, I'll be the first to admit that Monica and I would not be the easiest daughters to raise. Let's give it to him. He was very patient for dealing with us Nash women. It took a lot to piss him off, but Monica and I were really good at it. He did this thing where he would adjust his glasses when he was mad, and we would know that we pushed his limits too far. But we are our mother's daughter. We're loud, opinionated, stubborn, and we can get ourselves into some trouble. Or I should say, Monica gets into trouble and then drags me into it. I'm sure he felt outnumbered at times and probably overwhelmed being a girl dad. I remember my first high school homecoming dance. I got asked to by a boy, and while Monica and my mom were helping me get ready, he was furiously distracting himself by making 3 dozen cookies. And then he sent us off and be home by this time. Even once we were out of the house and in college, he would stay up until we got home. I remember when I was home in California and I told him I was going out, and he called me at 2 a.m. asking if I was home safe, and then he couldn't go to sleep until I was. He was definitely a protector. Growing up, our home had an open door policy. It was literally always unlocked, which is not safe. We would be sitting at the dinner table and you'd hear the door open and some shoes shuffling in, and Angela would pop up out of nowhere, and then it would be she would grab a plate and sit down. He loved when the house was full of our friends. He didn't like missing out. Sometimes when I had my basketball teammates over, or the football or baseball boys were over, he'd get a bunch of food for everyone, and we'd all be sitting on the floor and couches, talking, probably yelling. And I'd look across the room and catch him just smiling, looking at everyone in his house, people he cared about, and he loved having a full house and having people feel at home. I've received many messages from people these last few weeks, and a common theme is that my dad made people feel seen and welcomed. He would notice someone in a room if they were alone or by themselves, and he would go talk to them. He had a smile that lit up the room. And he gave us hugs. I actually wrote here too, they were bear hugs, but you already used that descriptor or something. But he fully embraced you. And when I had a bad day, and this was up until even 28, I would be crying, and I just kind of would go up and nudge him and just stand there, and he knew that meant I needed a hug, and it always made me feel better. And I miss those hugs the most. Not many daughters can talk to their dads throughout their 20s about literally anything. My dad built that kind of relationship with us over the years. Our family is arguably too close. We tell each other everything going on in our day-to-day lives. He knew about every date we went on, our menstruation cramps, every fight Monica and I got into. Monica would call and I'd be like, Camilla's doing this. Followed by me calling, being like, did you talk to Monica already? My dad and I FaceTimed multiple times every day. I'd call him when I was walking across campus. He'd call me when he was on his way to the office. And I'm going to miss those calls. Kind of just not really talking about anything. We would just talk. I was 6 years old when I first answered that my dad was my best friend. He liked to remind me that. He said, one of my uncles was like, oh, who's your best friend at school? And I was like, my dad. He was always my best friend. So cancer sucks. I can still take myself to that feeling I had when I found out my dad was sick. I learned a lot of life lessons in the last 6 months. I learned that we don't always have control of things. If you know me, you know how psycho type A I am. And I've always lived in my present, thinking about where I want to be in the future. I write goals monthly, cross them off. But these past 6 months forced me to slow down and be fully present with my dad. In this, I learned gratitude. I'll always be grateful for these last 6 months with him, although it didn't feel like enough. We saw our longtime family friends, people we considered like his own children, get married. We celebrated their love. And at these weddings, when he was feeling tired from being in chemo, he took a nap during the reception speeches to try to recharge because he was like, "What time do you think the dance floor is going to start?" He was not going to miss the dance floor. We spent more time with the Nash family, which really meant a lot to me these last 6 months. Oh, sorry, that was Aegis. We did some meetups with the Aca family at the Canadian border with COVID. That was as close as we could be, but it still meant the most. We went boating and felt the wind on our face. We went to the Seahawks training camp and home games. I got to go see my favorite band Train in concert, and it was just me and him. And we went to Disneyland, and I pushed him miles in that wheelchair, all over the park. I told him we were going to go on Indiana Jones because it's my favorite ride, even though my mom didn't think it was a good idea. I looked at him like, "You gonna do this?" I will always be grateful that I've had the last 6 months and this time to say goodbye. My dad really wanted to be a grandpa. He would call me, one day it was like a Tuesday afternoon, I'm in the middle of midterms, 3 p.m., he was like, "So, when are we gonna have grandchildren?" And just as a clarifier, Monica and I are still the most single women in San One of our last conversations before he went to the hospital again was him confirming with me that him and my mom would have their own room in my future house that I see in Palo Alto and my Tesla. I digress. That they would have their own room for when they wanted to come visit their grandchildren. And it's examples like this where I feel sad and angry and robbed of those experiences and memories because he would have been the coolest grandpa. I feel like this is what heartbreak feels like, and I know that I'll always feel like a part of me is missing, but I also know that he's with me wherever I go. I have a smile, which is like my favorite thing about me, so I'm glad I have a smile. He's in my kindness. He's in my work ethic. I did get his dance moves. Monica, I did not get his dance moves. He was like, all of those, he's like, those thousands of dollars in dance lessons, I still can't do it. He's in my values. He's in my strength. He spent the last 6 months fighting like hell, and every time someone tells me I'm one of the strongest women that they know, I'll tell them I got it from him. I'll think of my dad whenever I smell lavender, or see a busker playing music on the street corner. He'd always dig in his pockets and find some cash and make people put it in their hat. When I take a Zumba class, make Monica takes it. When the Seahawks score a touchdown, or when I'm watching the sunset here in Edmonds. The other day I saw Dad playing soccer with his daughter on my run, and I just had to stop because I started crying. I'll hold on to these little moments and I know that he's with me. My dad was a lot of things. He loved art. He was a property manager. He was a veteran. He was a Seahawks 12th man. A friend. An uncle. He was a brother. And a son. He was a proud husband. Mom, you married your best friend. I'll hold on to the sight of you and Dad dancing together on any dance floor. Either you laughing at his ridiculous dance moves, and I have his face, but or you looking up at him while he slow danced. I hope I marry my best friend one day too. Someday, or someone who will make me coffee in the morning, bring me my medication at night. Someone who will be down for any adventure, camping or kayaking or 80s cover band shows. Someone to laugh and cry with and to go through the good times and the bad times. You and Dad have built a beautiful family together. A crazy, loud, dysfunctional family. But we're very real, and that's always going to be beautiful to me. These last 6 months, you never left his side. Late nights sleeping in hospital chairs next to him. It pains you to even leave him to go run some errands. You didn't want to leave him. You showed me that love is patient and kind, and it protects, and always hopes, and it always perseveres. And Dad persevered. He never gave up. And he never gave up those last 6 months for us. Monica, Dad is so proud of you. He loved watching you cheer. He waved at you, like until you saw us. There needed to be some signal that you saw him or he was not going to sit down. I'd be like, did you see her move her palm a little bit? He's like, I don't know, I don't think so. He would just be grinning from ear to ear, and he'd tell absolutely anyone he could that you were an NFL cheerleader. And I hope you'll always be able to hear him say that he just wants you to be happy. Because I know he told you that a lot. And to be gentle. Please remember that. My dad was most proud of being a dad, and I will continue to make him proud every day. I hope to share the light and love that my dad shared with all of you. I love you to the moon and back.